Hey, good morning. Here we are on Monhegan Island. Isn't that beautiful? We're going to paint this fish shack. All right, I mixed up a little bit of raw sienna with cobalt blue. This is for the island in the back is Manana. We're just going to make that nice and light and kind of fade it off. But I want to have a little warmth to it, so I added that raw sienna. So we'll just paint around that shack. I left the sky white for now, but we're going to get back to that, okay? All right, just painting that around that shack, doing Manana in the background there. Cobalt blue with a little bit of raw sienna. And I'm going to add a little more raw sienna to the top of this once I get it in there. All right, just a little more raw sienna to the top. I want it to be a little warmer. Okay. Yeah, now I think I need a little more of the cobalt blue on the bottom part of that island. It'll still go back nicely, but just want to warm up, darken up the base of it. Okay, good. All right, I'm happy with that. All right, let's paint the shack itself. This is just ultramarine blue, and a very, very small smidgen, the Irish people call it, a smidgen of raw sienna. I'm painting around. There's a couple of railings that come down, and they're in the light, so I'm going to put those in the light. And there's a big white propane gas tank out front. If you go to Monhegan, you'll see everything and anything on the lawn of people's lawns up there. It's a tough life, you know. We romanticize it, but it's a hard life living on that island year-round. Beautiful island. If you haven't been there, you should go there. It's a beautiful place to paint. As you can see, the beautiful things you'll see. All right. There's a window there that has some light coming through. We're looking through one window and then another window in the back. That's what that piece of light is. All right, so there's our shack, and that's just ultramarine blue. Tiny bit of raw sienna. All right, the front lawn here is very, very bright. That's the sunlight is bouncing off it, and that's what we want to capture. So the shack is backlit, and so is Manana. You know, it's backlit, but it's very, very much in a fog, kind of mist. But this is just a Aurelian yellow and a little bit of cobalt blue to get this green. Very yellow, very, very bright. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of raw sienna and a little tiny touch of quin sienna in there to darken it up a little bit. But this is the earth under the grass in the front here. Okay, there's the little quin sienna. This is sort of the backlit grass that's popping up and a little bit of the earth there. All right, and then over here it's very dark. This is just a big piece of earth that's been dug out. You know, they're not sure why, what they're doing with it, but we're looking into a big hole of earth. So I'm painting it very dark at first, ultramarine and quin sienna. And there's a suggestion of a pine tree, an evergreen on the top here. Put that in just, I'm just doing it with the same color. I don't think, it doesn't really matter. Just a suggestion of shrubbery up there. All right, I'm tapping this with a towel to get a little suggestion of light, the dirt hitting the light section, the light hitting the dirt, which is making it lighter up there. Okay, putting a little light green on the top of the grass. All right, I'm painting the chimney here. This is just a little touch of cad red and cobalt blue, and I made it very light. You can see because the house is really in kind of a fog here. All right, we're going to paint the shingles now on the house. I'm leaving the trim. There's a couple of small dormers on this shack, so that's why it looks, that's what those pieces are above the roof line. We'll go back and paint that in a little while. All right, so the top of this shack, this is ultramarine with a touch of cadmium red. It's a violet, so it's very light, and we're looking up to it, so it's getting a lot of reflection from the sky. So I'm going to add some very wet cobalt blue to the top of this when I get through painting the whole section here. All right, so I want the top of the building to be very light. Okay, so I'm adding, you can see I'm adding the cobalt blue to it. So we'll come down. I want that sense of reflective light up there. All right, I'm just going to bring that right down. But it's going to get much darker at the bottom here. Same colors, ultramarine with cadmium red, but much darker. You can see the red in that. It's nice, you can push the colors. So any colors you mix, you can push them either way. When you mix a color, you're always mixing a warm and a dark, a warm and a cool, excuse me. So you can always push it either to the warm side or the cool side. So you can see here on the top of it's very cool, but the bottom is very warm. So we pushed it towards the cad red, but it's still violet. It's still a violet, and we're adding the ultramarine. I'm going to make it even darker. There's some kind of a shed hanging off the house here, so we'll get that in. Storage. People always need room to put their stuff. All right, we'll put these flight of stairs. Just leave little strips of light on the top steps. There's the other side. Now this is very dark, as you can see. Same colors, ultramarine with cad red. I made it a little warmer over there. Making it a little darker. On the bottom of the shack, it's not getting as much light, not getting that reflective light. All right, so I'm just going in, sort of giving the indication of shingles, clapboards, whatever. These are all shingles. We'll put it all the way in, all the way up. All right, there's the dormer. A couple of small dormers hanging off the house. Really unique place, Monhegan. We call it the island of artists. So many artists have gone there. All right, this is totally dry now. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting a wash of ultramarine very weak over the whole thing. And the key here is to, once you get through this, is to go right in with a dryer and get this dried right up. I added a little bit of Windsor blue there with the ultramarine. All right, so this gives it a misty kind of look, sends it right back, keeping those railings nice and light because they're out in the sun. All right, so there it is, and I'm just going to hit it with a dryer there. Okay. All right, I'm going to paint the doors and windows. I sped this up for you a little bit so you don't have to watch me paint every door and every window. Okay. I guess I didn't speed it up enough. Anyway, okay. So there's the window. We're looking through this window through the back of the house, and there's another window back there that you see through, so picking up a lot of reflective light back there. All right, we got our doors and windows in. I'm going to restate some of these bottom steps there. They're much darker, so just go through it. Same color. Ultramarine with a little touch of cad red. Gives you that violet. But I'm putting in some lobster traps here. They're just piled up. Like I say, as you walk around Monhegan, you'll see more junk piled up, you know. I'm adding a little bit of Windsor blue to there's a little window of water that you see in the background through the lobster traps. All right, I'm pretty much done with the landscape here. I'm going to add a figure just to make it, make it a little more interesting. And I'll make a fisherman going into this shack. So we'll look at him from the back. I'm going to sketch him out first with a pencil. I want to show you that. I normally don't do this, but I think it's a good idea to make sure you get the right size, the right size head and the right size body, because otherwise it's so easy to fall into the trap. So, I'm using a little quinacridone sienna for the head there, and I'll go in a little while and change that. I'm going to give him a green shirt. All right, very dark. Hand goes down below the waistline, almost to the knee, I was going to give him a bucket, but that's a little cliche. All right, so put a pair of jeans on him. So this leg comes all the way down. That leg on the left is going to be a little bit shorter to give the indication that he's walking. All right, and I'm going to put a pair of fishing boots on him, rubber boots, just black boots. They all walk around with fishing boots. I'm going to put a few more lobster traps here on the left. Help balance it out and kill some of that yellow grass. This is what they do. They load up their lawns, all over the houses. You'll see the fishermen, they don't fish year round, they only fish for 6 months. So the other 6 months, the lobster traps are hanging out on the lawns of these people's houses usually. And, I will give it a little shadow for the lobster traps and for the fishermen here. Make it nice and juicy. I'm going to put a little warmth in these traps. Bring it forward, bring it right in front of us. Over here. Yeah. Maybe a little dab of red. Warm that up. You won't even see it once it dries. It'll just look warmer. Alright, I'm going to put a little highlight on him. He's walking in the sun. He's backlit, but he'll have a little light on him. A little light on his shoulders. Maybe I'll give him some white hair. Make him an old timer. Like me. I'm not sure I like that. Yeah. I'm going to make the light on his shirt a little less white. So add a little green to that. Alright, I don't like the white head, so I'm going to pat that out. Okay? Alright, well this was a lot of fun. Love Monhegan. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really appreciate you joining me. And please, if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. And maybe put a like in there. Thank you. See you soon.